So last week I was in Spain, and while I was relaxing at the beach, having a great time, I was reading extremely disturbing books. Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. This is the Horror Shelf, and my name is Donata, and this is part 2 in my iceberg series, where I'm creating my own iceberg chart filled with extreme horror books that I'm reading. First of all, in case you haven't noticed, I got a microphone. And yes, I will be holding it like this the whole video because I think that's funny. I hope the audio quality is a bit better right now. I mostly got this microphone because it takes me a lot of time to read these books for this video and then, summarize them and edit the whole video. It takes a lot of work. And I was like, why would I put in that much work if my audio quality or my video quality isn't even that good, So I invested in a little microphone. I say invested, but it wasn't that expensive, but I think it does the job, and I hope the audio quality sounds better now. So, like I said, I went to Spain. I was on a 2-week road trip along the east side of Spain, and I brought my e-reader with me. And I downloaded a few extreme horror books that I read while I was on holiday for this video. So let me just quickly explain what the video concept is in case you haven't watched part 1. You can watch part 1 here or here. I always point at the wrong side of the screen, but somewhere along here, let me quickly summarize the video concept for you. So I'm new to reading extreme horror and splatterpunk books. I have read a few, like a handful of them, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, the books are crazy. I like reading crazy books. I wanted to get into extreme horror more, and I thought maybe I can make a video series of it. I created a whole list of popular extreme horror books. I acquired those books on Reddit, Goodreads, just simply Googling, watching other people's videos. So I made a whole list of the popular extreme horror books, or the cult classics, if you will. And I created a little spinning wheel. And in each video, I will spin the wheel 3 times. I will read the 3 books that I spin. I will try to make a little bit of a vlog out of it. In this video, there's not many vlog parts because I was on holiday with my boyfriend and his family, so I wasn't gonna be filming myself talking about mutilated bodies, if you know what I mean. But hopefully the next video will be more vlog style. I will read the books, I will summarize them for you with full spoilers, because that's entertaining. We all want to know the tea, right? So I will give full spoilers, and then I will rank the books in my own made iceberg chart. And hopefully by the end of this video series I will have created a little iceberg with all the popular extreme horror books on there. So I hope that makes sense. And like I said, I created a little spinning wheel. I will skip to the clip where I spun the wheel before I went on holiday. One thing though, I didn't have the microphone back then yet, so that audio quality is gonna be quite shitty compared to this, but please bear with me. Hi, welcome to my computer. This video I'm gonna spin it 3 times in a row, so I can have 3 books to read while I go on holiday. I think I should be able to read 3 books in those 2 weeks, unless I get one that is like quite long, but I feel like most extreme horror books are short books, so it should be fine. Also, I want to apologize for how dark it is here. I'm filming this in the evening after work, and summer is coming to an end. It's getting darker earlier in the evening outside, unfortunately. I'm not ready for that winter depression to hit. Alright, enough talking. I'm gonna spin the first book. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm also excited. So let's just see. I'm gonna click it. 1, 2, 3. Okay. You hear that applause? So the first book is What Good Girls Do by Jonathan Butcher. I do not know what this book is about, so I'm gonna look it up, but this is gonna be the first book. The title sounds promising, so yeah. We'll see. Okay, next book. Oh, I'm excited for this one. So the second book I'm gonna read is His Pain by Rev. James White, and one of my favorite booktubers really loved this book, and I kind of have similar taste in books as her, so I think I'm gonna like this one. Her review sounded really promising, so I'm excited. Okay, and the very last spin for this video. Which book is it gonna be? I feel like I should have a little drum roll. Okay. Oh. Oh. Okay. It's Dead Inside. Wait, I should wait for the pause. It's Dead Inside by Chandler Morrison. And this is a really popular one, I think. But I did know what it was about, but I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But I do know that this is a popular one, so I'm curious to see why it's popular. Book number 3. What did I do? Book number 3, Dead Inside by Chandler Morrison. So those are the 3 books that I'm gonna be reading. What Good Girls Do, His Pain, and Dead Inside. 2 kind of popular ones, and then I'm excited. I'll see you in the next clip where I'm starting to read the first book. As you could see, the first book that the spinning wheel is making me read is What Good Girls Do by Jonathan Butcher. Now, I had no idea what this book was about. So this book was on the Reddit Extreme Horror page in the Extreme Horror Starter Pack. That's how I found this book. But I didn't do a lot of research on what it was about. I just went in blindly, which really set the tone, I think, for the whole reading experience. Because it was shocking. And it really brought down my mood so much. I think the book is only 120 pages or something, maybe less. And I just remember reading it, and then my whole mood was so bad afterwards. I just felt really down after reading this book, which I did not expect to be, because the most recent one that I read before this was Womb by Duncan Ralston. That book was so not serious. It was so silly. It just made me laugh the whole time. So I kind of had the expectation for this one that it was going to be like that as well. Spoiler alert, it was not. I was not okay reading this. So I will just summarize the book for you first. We have spoilers, and then afterwards I will tell you what I think about it, and we will put it in the iceberg together. So, What Good Girls Do. In What Good Girls Do, you follow this girl. Her name is Girl. For her whole life, she was locked up in a basement and being abused by a man she calls Daddy, or he calls himself Daddy, and his friends. And with abused, I mean sexually abused, like raped and horrible things. For her whole life, she has lived in this basement, and the only media that she had access to was extremely violent pornography, like magazines and videos, etc. And so she doesn't know anything else, right? The thing is, because she has lived her whole life in this basement, the way she thinks, she also thinks in porn terms. I don't know how else to explain it, but she compares everything she experienced to a sexual act. Then one day she suddenly gets access or finds a video where it's kind of a revenge video. It's about 2 women who kill a lot of men as an act of revenge. And she sees this video over and over again, and it keeps playing in her head. And then she thinks, I can maybe kill my daddy. So the next time he comes down to abuse her, she kills him. She smashes her TV on his head, and then he dies, and she manages to escape. Her whole escape story is kind of overstimulating as well, because she has never in her whole life been outside of this basement, so she doesn't even know what a staircase is, she doesn't know what a kitchen is, she doesn't know how anything in the world works, but she manages to get out, and you look at the world through her eyes as someone who has lived in this situation and is thinking in this weird porn-ish way and experiencing everything in life for the first time. For example, like she's walking on the grass and it's overstimulating her, so that's quite intense. And then while she's escaping, she runs into a little boy. Her brain isn't working properly, if you know what I mean, and she's like, I have to kill all the daddies essentially, or all the men, because they raped me and they hurt me. So she kills this little boy in his own backyard. And then she goes on to the neighbor's house. And next door to her, there is a family living of a mom and a dad called Stuart and Serenity. And there are 3 little kids. They have a little kid called Declan. He's like around 12 years old or something, and they have twins called Philip and Lily. And those are only 2 years old, I think, I believe. So she breaks into this house, and at the moment that she breaks in, the mom and dad are practicing SM sex in their bedroom, while Declan, the 12-year-old boy, is giving the twins a bath in the bathroom. So the kids don't know what the parents are doing, basically. But what the parents are doing is Serenity, the mom, she's tied up to the bed, blindfolded, and they're doing the nasty. And then girl comes up to the main bedroom and she sees them doing the nasty. And naturally, she's like, oh no, he's raping her. He's hurting her. I have to protect her. And she has this knife that she brought from the kitchen from her own house. And she sticks the knife in this man's a-hole while he's doing the deed. He collapses. He's bleeding, kind of bleeding to death. And then Serenity is like, oh my god, this girl is attacking my man. What's going on? And then somehow this didn't make sense to me, but she's like, I can see that this girl is a victim. I have to help her. Like, excuse me, she just penetrated your husband with a knife and you want to help her? Questionable. So she tries to talk to girl and tries to talk her out of it. Kind of working, but kind of not. But girl has the feeling that Serenity is acting like a mother figure for her. So she has like this really warm, fuzzy feeling when she talks to Serenity. It's like, oh, I feel safe with this woman. So she kind of starts trusting her. And then something happens and she decides to attack Stuart again. And then Declan walks in, the 12-year-old boy. He sees all of this happening. And he flees back to the bathroom. Serenity keeps talking to girl. And then suddenly Declan is back with the toilet seat lid. He smashes girl in the head with this. So she's unconscious, and then Stuart tries to attack her, and she wakes up and she's like, oh my god, this man is trying to rape me. And eventually she manages to kill Stuart, and then she decides to kill Declan as well, because Declan is a boy and that's a little daddy, and all the daddies have to die. Anyhow, so Serenity is left over. The girl is like, I'm going to show you where I lived. I'm going to show you what I went through, and then you will see that all men are bad. So she takes Serenity back to her basement, and then while they are there, a few of Daddy's friends suddenly show up, because apparently they had a meeting to abuse girl again. So Serenity hides in the bathroom, and girl is down there, and she manages to attack the first one that comes down, the first one of the guys. But then the second one she couldn't attack, and then he starts raping her again. She manages to get the knife that she dropped, and she sticks the knife in her belly, like through her vagina into his dick. I don't know how to explain that scene, but I hope that makes sense. Then he dies, and then girl is like lying on the floor bleeding, and Serenity is like, oh no, I have to do something, I have to help her. So Serenity goes out of the bathroom where she was locked up, and she was able to see all of this happening, by the way, through the door lock or something, I don't know. Anyhow, she did see what was happening, so she's really like completely in shock. And she wants to help girl. So she goes up the stairs, runs across the third man that was still upstairs, and he captures her, and then he explains to her what they were doing with girl all her life. And basically they've been filming her and sharing these videos with thousands and thousands of men on the internet, and they could put in requests or pay money to abuse her too, which was absolutely sickening, but I will get into that later. Yeah, Serenity manages to attack this dude and kill him, but while she gets attacked, she hits her head on the staircase really hard, so she suffers a brain injury, which makes her think in a really extreme ways. And then the book ends with girl in the hospital meeting her mother for the first time, her actual mother, which was living in the room next door to her. The daddy guy had also locked up her mom. And her mom didn't know what was happening to her little daughter this whole time. Like, even talking about this just gets me down. It was not a fun book. And then the book ends with Serenity and the twins that have survived. And like, because of all the shock and trauma that she went through, seeing these acts done to a girl and the brain injury that she suffered, she's now also thinking in extreme ways. And she now also thinks that all men are evil. And she's now inflicting the same fate on her little son, Philip, the same fate that girl has been through her whole life. That's kind of this book summarized with spoilers. And yeah, it's heavy. It's a really heavy book, mainly because this topic of girls being locked up and live streamed and videos shared of women being abused online in like Telegram groups and whatever. It seems like it's happening more and more, or more and more groups like that are being exposed, which as a woman is really hard to see that news pop up again and again. And then you read a book like this, like of course it's stylized and it's made even more extreme the way this girl is thinking, but it was really hard to be in her head. And the way she was thinking was just really disturbing, but in a depressing way, if I can put it like that. And what I also found really interesting is that this couple that was living next door to girl all this time, Stuart and Serenity, they were always engaging in like S&M, BDSM type of intercourse. And the things that girl went through were kind of the same type of intercourse, except completely non-consensual. It was just interesting to see how they were kind of, it was like the same scenes, but one was consenting and loving, and the other was fully abuse and hatred. And it was put next to each other. It really makes you think, I guess. I don't really know how to explain it, but it was just kind of thought-provoking, I guess. It also makes you think about porn as well, and the whole industry, and how violence in porn is more and more normalized, and what it can lead to, and what it's already leading to. I mean, the things that happened in this book are, yes, incredibly extreme, but they also happen in real life, which is why this book is so incredibly disturbing to me. And I think that's also why I felt so down after reading this, because, you know, I'm a woman, and this is something that other women are actually going through, even though that feels worlds and worlds away. I mean, it's in the news so much. Yeah, it was just shocking. And also, it was really well written. For example, when girl went out of the house for the first time and everything was extremely overstimulating to her because she has never experienced all those things. And then the way she thinks in her brain and like relates everything to sex was also quite harrowing, I think. Chilling, if you will. So yeah, this was a really hard book to read, but also incredibly well done. And I think, yeah, this was really an extreme book that had something to say, you know? There was a reason for this book to be here. I don't ever want to think about this book again. There's also a part 2 to this. It's called What Good Men Do, and I'm not sure if I want to read that. I'm not sure. I don't think it will get better. And also, I didn't quite like the ending where Serenity turns evil and also is also like, oh, all men are evil. I get it because of her brain injury, and it makes for a good second part, but it was personally a lot for me. So yeah, and let's stop talking about this. Let's go to the shot of me putting this book on the iceberg. Welcome back to my computer. I'm gonna put the first book in the iceberg right now, and I should probably clip my microphone to my sweater because I need both hands for this. There we go. I hope that works. So I'm gonna put What Good Girls Do into the iceberg right now, as you can see. And this one is a hard one for me because it was like painfully realistic. I really felt down while reading it, and afterwards, and even thinking about that book makes me feel down. So it's like, where should I put this? Because I think I'm gonna put it in Who Hurt the Author. Mainly because also on one of the first pages of the books he talks about abuse and his hatred for people who do horrible things like that. So I think there's a backstory there. So I'm gonna put it in Who Hurt the Author, but I think if there was another category for This Book Hurt Me, then I would put it there. Maybe I should add that category, but for now I'm gonna put it in Who Hurt the Author. The next book I read was His Pain by Rev. James White. And this book was so ridiculous. I had a lot of fun. I was reading this at the beach and laughing out loud, and my boyfriend was like, what the hell? This book was so entertaining. Anyhow, let's get into the summary. In His Pain, you follow this boy who is born with a neurological disorder, which makes everything feel extremely painful for him. Like even talking, hearing, breathing, everything hurts. And it has been like this for his whole life. So he has his bedroom is completely black out dark and made of rubber, and he has this like latex vacuum bag in which he sleeps, and everything he eats has to be cooked 10 times and mashed together so that it doesn't have any flavors and any sensations at all, and that he can eat it without having pain. And yeah, so that's this boy's life. He doesn't know anything else. He can't even, talk to his parents or anything, because that also hurts him, and even hearing them talk also hurts. So his mother is like, I need to help my child because I want to hug him and I want to be a normal loving family, and we are not that right now. So one day she's like watching TV, and there's this interview with a guy who survived a plane crash, and he developed a breathing technique that can make you deal with pain and live a normal life through chronic pain. And he is like a yogi, I think a yogi or a monk or something now. And so she contacts him. She's like, hey, my son is in pain all the time. Can you please help me? So this yogi is like, yes, I can help you, but you have to give me full control. So she's like, sure, do whatever you have to do. So this yogi monk guy shows up. He goes into this boy's bedroom, slaps him in the face, and is like, I'm going to teach you how to deal with the pain. Basically, he's telling this boy that, like, yes, you are experiencing this pain, but nothing is actually hurting you. Like, you're not dying, you're only experiencing the pain. So you can like brainwash yourself and essentially that you are not having pain. Right? He starts kind of like therapy with the boy, teaching him this technique. It's working. Until at some point the monk is like, or the yogi, is like, you now have to learn what pleasure is. And you have to gain pleasure through the pain. And of course the boy can't do this because he has never experienced anything feeling good in his life ever. Everything has always hurted for him, right? So this yogi is like, okay, I have a solution to this problem. And he goes to the boy's parents and is like, I need $500 from you. I'm not going to tell you why, but it has to do with your son and I'm going to help him. And I just need $500. So he's trying to convince the parents. Then at one point he gets the $500, right? And he goes out and gets a high-end luxury escort, if you will, a high-end escort. She shows up to this boy's room and he has been torturing himself to, live with the pain. And that's one thing I forgot to tell. This boy is also on opiates, like really heavy pain medication. He has been on this his whole life, and the yogi is like, you have to come off of them. You have to live normally without being on drugs all the time. So in this scene, he is going to withdrawal from the pain medication. So he's like puking everywhere and having fever and whatever. His whole room is full of fucking puke and piss. So this escort comes in and she washes him in the shower and gives him a blowy, and it works. He's feeling pleasure through the pain, and he's like, this is the best thing ever. This is amazing. And then they start doing the nasty, and then this boy is like, feeling pleasure through the pain is the best thing I have ever experienced in my life, which is obviously because he has only experienced pain, so makes sense. But he wants to share this with the escort, and he's like, she should experience this too. So he rips out a chunk of her face. Like he bites a chunk out of her face. The parents barge in. They're like, oh my god, what's happening? They see that their kid has destroyed this escort's face. So the dad is like, the only logical thing to do right here is to strangle her to death so that we don't get in any trouble. Which, of course, that's the first thing that you do when something like this happens, right? Strangle this woman to death, sure. So he does that, and then as a fun family activity, they cut up the corpse into pieces and get rid of her body together. What a great loving family, right? The dad is going out to get rid of the body parts, and the son and his mom are home alone. And his mom is like washing him in the shower, helping him get clean up. And he's like, oh, mom, I want to share this great experience with you. And she's like, oh, I could never love my son in the whole time that he was alive, and now I can finally share a form of love, even if it's not conventional. So I should do this for him. So they also start doing the nasty. And this scene is quite extreme because he starts putting his fist and whole arm inside of his mother. Both of his arms in both of the holes, if you know what I mean. It gets really violent, and essentially he's fisting his mom to death. Wild. That happens, then he runs away because he's like, oh no, what have I done? And then the dad comes home, he finds his wife mutilated to death, and he gets a drinking problem, naturally, as one would. When you stumble across a scene like that, the boy is running away, he takes his vacuum sleeping bag and goes out into the world. But the thing is, he also has never gone out of the world before, because he was always in his room, because everything in life hurt him, so he could not go out. So he was out in his world for the first time, doesn't know how anything works. And then he's sitting at this bus stop. There's this girl that starts talking to him, because she's like, I have a feeling that you are a weird person and I like weird people, so let's be friends. They become friends, sort of. And she lets him sleep in her motel room, because she has also run away from home. And she's a escort as well, but like a really cheap one, if I can put it like that. And they start falling in love. How romantic. Yeah, and then she's intrigued by this whole pain pleasure thing, so they do the nasty a couple of times. He finds out that she is an escort, and he remembers what happened with his escort, and he thinks that all escorts lead a life like that. So he's like, oh no, you should stop. And then they get in a big fight, and then he decides to kill her, of course. So that's his girlfriend. He just killed her. After he kills his girlfriend, he's like, I don't know what to do. I don't have a grip on this life thing. I need help. So he contacts the yogi again. And the yogi naturally contacts his dad. So he's in his motel room, and the yogi and his dad come to that room to help him. But the dad has this drinking problem, and he brought this big shotgun rifle. They get into a fight, and it ends up with the guy, the main character, killing his dad and the yogi, and I think himself as well. I'm not sure. I kind of forgot if he kills himself at the end too. But yeah, that's the end of the book. Such a wild and ridiculous and disturbing ride. The scene with the mom was kind of bad. That made me feel really uncomfortable. But the rest of the book was so entertaining. Honestly, I was like laughing out loud so many times. Like, what do you mean? This yoga guru is hiring an extremely expensive prostitute for this teenage boy that's in pain all the time. That's crazy. And then just the whole like, oh no, this happened, we have to strangle this prostitute to death. Like, what do you mean? Let's slow down a little. Yeah, this book was extremely fun, right? It's just the scene with the mom in the bathroom getting to death was kind of really uncomfortable. But other than that, this book was really entertaining. It was really funny as well. And also the author, and I actually watched an interview with him, and he seems like such a nice, chill guy, which is so wild compared to this story. I thought this book was really entertaining and quite creative as well, because how do you even come up with the concept like this? That's insane. Like, there were some points in the book where I was like, I have no idea where this is going. Like, okay, so this guy is in pain all the time. What's gonna happen? I had no clue. I can recommend. And let's just cut to the part where I put it in the iceberg. His pain. Now, where do I put this book? Honestly, this is also a hard one, because it was fun. It was a fun book. But I don't think there was any meaning to it, you know, and it was quite bloody, especially the scene with the mom. But I don't think it was as gory as the slob, so for it to go in Raining Blood Carrie style. I think this can also go in Who Hurt the Author. Maybe not. I think I do need the second category, actually. Can I make one? I think I can. Here we go. That's better. Then I can take this down. I'm gonna make an extra category, and it's called This Book Hurt My Soul. I'm gonna put What Good Girls Do in there, because the book was painful. And then I just need another name for this category, because I'm gonna put His Pain there, because I don't think it's that well known to go into cult classics. Or certified extreme horror bangers. But it's also, I didn't think it was that shocking to go to put it any lower, if you know what I mean. Disturbing, but digestible. Make it a little bit taller, please. Disturbing but digestible. His Pain can go in there. I think that's fair. And the last book I read for this episode was Dead Inside by Chandler Morrison. And maybe it's a spoiler if I already say this, but this book is a cult classic, I think. I think everyone in the or most of the people in the extreme horror community, they know this book. They have read it themselves. Even people that don't read extreme books somehow have read this book, which is wild to think about because there's some horrific content in this book. Like, I'm not kidding. It's questionable. So the thing is with Dead Inside is that this book is satire. The author isn't normally writing extreme horror books, so it's kind of poking fun at the genre. It's not to be taken seriously. And you can kind of feel that in the writing style, because sometimes it feels like a 17-year-old edgelord redditor wrote this book, or at least the main character reads that way, but I suppose that's part of the satire. It's a really funny book as well, except for the horrific content. The way it was written is really funny. It also breaks the fourth wall and stuff. It's a really funny book. Let's just get into the summary. You start the book off with this guy who is getting a blowy, and he's like, I don't like this. You are too alive for me. I don't like that. Turns out this guy is a necrophiliac. And he works in his hospital as a security guard. When it's not that busy in the hospital and he has time, he goes down to the morgue and does the nasty with the corpses in the morgue. So that's the main character. And he's this really, like, wannabe mysterious edgelord in essentially. Like, I don't know how else to explain this main character except for edgelord. Like, the way he says, I fuck dead girls, I fuck dead people, I fuck dead women. In this book is like, take a shot every time he says that, you will die. So that's quite annoying. But anyway, that's the main character, right? He's like, oh, I'm an outcast. I'm such a weird dude. Blah, blah. Okay, so he works there, does the nasty with corpses. Something happens in the hospital and he has to come up and do his security guard duty because there was a woman giving birth. And something happened with the baby died, and then her husband got extremely violent. So the main character goes on a tangent about how much he hates babies. Sure. Then he goes up to the scene, doesn't do anything. Because, yeah, you're security guard, why would you protect the people at the hospital, right? Why would you do that? He's just standing there. And then he sees this doctor, a blonde woman with glasses, staring at the baby with dead eyes. And he's like, whoa. This is the most fascinating woman I have ever seen who is not dead. And he is like a little bit obsessed with her. So he starts watching her through the security surveillance cameras to see what she's up to in her life. And then he sees that she also goes down to the morgue. Now, why would a maternity doctor go down to the morgue? So one time he decides to follow her down there. And he finds this woman sitting on the floor eating a dead baby naked, and the first thing he asks her is, why are you naked? He's not like, why are you eating a dead baby, or I should call the police. No, he's like, why are you doing this naked? And then she's like, oh, I'm just a messy eater. Okay. So that happens, and he's like, don't worry, I'm not gonna tell on you, just do your thing, go have your dinner, I guess. Sure, whatever. Then a few days later, he's sitting in his office, and this woman, she's called Helen, by the way, she barges in. She starts telling him about this dream that she had where she found a baby in the toilet and it was covered in shit. She keeps on popping into his office, telling him about her dreams and about her life, and they develop this kind of relationship. Then he confesses to her that he is a necrophiliac. They tell each other their life stories, like why they do what they do and how they got into this hobby, I guess. Can you even call this a hobby? I don't know. Kink? Special interest? I don't know, man. So they develop kind of a friendship, I guess, or a relationship. And then Helen asks him out on a date. So they go on a little date. And this man is like, this is too normal for me. I don't want to be normal. I hate being normal. I'm weird. I don't want to be on a date. This woman is too alive, blah, blah. The whole time. But then he still like ends up going to her house. They start having sex, doing the nasty. And then he freaks out because she's not dead. She's alive. And he doesn't like that. He freaks out. Then he flees the scene. He runs home. And then the next day she comes into his office and apologizes to him. As an apology, you can come with me to my spot and watch me eat a dead baby. Great apology gift, right? And he's like, oh, I like this idea. I love this idea, let's do that. So the evening comes around, they go to an abortion clinic, and she has the keys to the abortion clinic because she's like head of the maternity ward at the hospital. She's like this really important person. And they break in at night, she finds a fetus, eats it, I guess. Then while she's eating it, she's getting herself off, if you know what I mean. And he kind of gets turned on. And then she's like, I want you to penetrate this fetus. I can't go in full detail about this scene, but I hope you understand what I mean with penetrate the fetus. It was not pretty. Anyway, so they do that. They have a great time. The scene ends. Then the next day, she's like, oh, we should do this more often. I had such a fun time. It was amazing. Best sex ever. And he's like, no, we can't do this. Because he doesn't want a relationship. He's like this edgelord. He doesn't believe in love, blah, blah. So she keeps stalking him, like telling him about her dreams, I don't know. And then one day she's like, oh, I'm pregnant and the baby is yours. And he's like, no, you have to get an abortion because we are both fucked up people. And if we create a baby together, that would be horrible. And also, I hate babies. I don't want you to be pregnant. And you would also probably eat your own baby. So just get an abortion. Let's not do this. But Helen is like, no, I want to keep this baby. And I think it will be life-changing for the both of us. He's like, I don't want to see you again if you keep this baby. They kind of break up. Which the weird thing is, I was so invested in this relationship. I was like kind of rooting for them. I was like, oh, I kind of ship it in a weird way, even though what they're doing was absolutely horrible and disgusting. One time, they don't talk for a long time, and then suddenly she calls him and she's like, oh, my baby is stillborn. My baby is dead inside of me. I can tell because I'm a maternity doctor. I can tell that the baby is dead inside of me. Help me. So he runs to her house. She's there sitting on the floor. She's like, oh, I'm gonna cut out my own baby. Eat it, I guess. So she does that. She cuts out her own baby, sitting on the floor in her living room, eats it, and then she dies because she lost too much blood and she has this big gaping wound in her belly. And then this guy is like, I'm kind of turned on. So he does the deed with her corpse, her fresh corpse, and also he sticks his dick in her eye socket. Ooh. Yeah, that was hard to get through. He's sitting there, covered in her organs, being like, oh, best day ever. And then suddenly her husband gets home, and that's how the book ends. As ridiculous as this book was, and also how horrifying the scenes were, and the topics, and the trigger warnings, I guess, like the necrophilia and the cannibalism and whatever, even though they were absolutely horrifying and incredibly gross and not okay, I was still, like I said, rooting for this relationship. I was really shipping them. I was like, oh, there really is a person for everyone out there. Even for a weird edgelord wannabe necrophiliac living in a hospital. Sure. There were also some other little interactions that he had with patients in the hospital, but which were also quite controversial. You can really tell that this book was written as satire. It's just the whole book does not take itself seriously at all. And it's really quite funny. I thought it was a funny book. I don't know what that says about me. I swear I'm not a crazy person, but I found it funny. I don't know what else to say, man. I don't really have a really deep review of this book. It was just funny. Even though that sounds wrong, even though the contents in the book are absolutely horrible. Let's just go to the part where I put it in the iceberg again. There. Dead Inside. Where do I put this one? I think Dead Inside can go in 3 different categories, actually. It can go in Everyone and Their Mom Knows This One. It can go in Certified Extreme Horror Bangers. And it can also go in Raining Blood Carousel. Or FBI is on its way. I mean, it's talking about eating babies and... But it's satire, so I don't think it should go in FBI is on its way. Because it's satire, I do think there's a little bit of a meaning behind it. It's not just gore for the gore, so I'm also not going to put it in Raining Blood Carousel. I'm going to put it in Everyone and Their Mom Knows This One. Because people that don't read extreme horror somehow have read this book. This is the iceberg so far with the 3 new books added to it. And a new category. Yeah. I mean, I'm satisfied so far. I'm excited see where we end up with this. Alright, let's cut to the outro, I guess. If you have anything to say about these books, have you read them yourself? Do you have any recommendations or extreme horror books that I should add to the list? By all means, please let me know. I'm open to any feedback. Also, do you like the format with the spinning wheel? Do you like the full spoiler stories? I'm curious about all of it. Also, if you like this series, please subscribe. Please give me a like. And I hope to see you in the next part where I will read 3 books again. And I will try to make it more of a vlog style this time, since I'm now just living my normal day-to-day life. And I think it would be a lot easier to make it more in a vlog style. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.